interesting thing about playing Sharon was I wanted her to be like light, just like light and shine, like exuding goodness, happiness, like, you know, and so I just set myself little rules. I'm not going to look at emails the day that I'm playing Sharon. You know, like I won't wake up, you know, just anything that makes me feel a little like real world gritty, nitty gritty shit. I was like, I just can't do that on a day when I'm Sharon. Like she's just got to float.
At some point in these years, you wrote a letter to Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
And told him you wanted to be cast in something, or in Hollywood specifically.
No, I didn't know about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at that point. I wrote it after I, Tonya. I, Tonya is the first movie I watched where I watched a pretty early cut of it, to be honest, because I was a producer on it, so I saw an early cut. But it was the first time I watched a movie and went, okay, I'm a good actor now. Okay. I'm ready to reach out to my idols. And so that's when I wrote the letter to Quentin. And
why did you write to him?
Well, I always knew that it was something being on a Quentin Tarantino set was a bucket list thing for me. And I just didn't, like I said, I didn't really feel like I was good enough yet until I saw I, Tonya. That was the first time I thought, okay, I'm good enough to kind of reach out to him.
But I meant, what was it in him?
Well, like, what did he feel?
Yeah, what was it that why did you want to be in one of his films?
Oh, because I just love Tarantino films. Love them. I mean, there's just, I love those films.
Famously, you were Tarantino's only choice to play Sharon Tate.
Well, that's nice. Yeah. Thank God.
But a lot of pressure there. How did you approach that film? How did you approach her?
I was just so excited. I was so excited to finally work with him. I have to say, by the way, sitting across my right shoulder, my assistant Charlotte was playing one of the background extras just then, and that was her first film in America. How did I approach the role? I did my usual process, like the research and all that kind of stuff.
How did you do that? Were you going back to multiple sources? Were you talking to people?
Yeah, talking to people. I spent time with her sister. Okay. I read, Roman's autobiography and read other books and watched all her films, of course, did all my reading, and then did my usual, like, work with an acting coach, dialect coach, and a movement coach, and just, like, soaked it up. Something, the interesting thing about playing Sharon was I wanted her to be like light, just like light and shine, like exuding goodness, happiness, like, and so I just set myself little rules. I'm not going to look at emails the day that I'm playing Sharon. Like I won't wake up, just anything that makes me feel a little like real world gritty, nitty gritty shit. I was like, I just can't do that on a day when I'm Sharon. Like she's just got to float.
Do you like her?
Love. Oh my gosh, playing her was like being on holiday every day. It was delightful. And being on a set like that, it was just incredible. I actually, that's at a well-known theatre in LA, and I actually went there to watch the movie. I did exactly what she did. I went there and watched it just on a random Tuesday afternoon, like bought a ticket and went and sat in pretty much the same seat and had pretty much the same experience, even down to the fact that the person I bought my ticket off at the ticketing counter was like, but you're, and I was like, I know. And he was like, but you're in the movie. And I'm like, I'm in the movie, that's why I'm here. He's like, can I get a photo? And I was like, we're practically doing the scene from the film right now, so yeah, of course. It was great.
There was a great controversy at the time because you had few lines.
Yeah.
And people were kind of complaining that there wasn't enough Sharon. Did you care about that? And also, is it hard to, I mean, Quentin says he didn't give you much plot.
Yeah.
Is that hard to play a character without much plot?
Well, yeah, no, it definitely freaked me. And also, like I said, like she was just so lovely and happy, and I'm used to like playing characters where I'm like, all right, I've got to come in and scream and cry and throw things and break things, and I was like, okay, I just need to be light and represent a time. It was very abstract. I hadn't really attempted something quite as abstract as playing Sharon Tate and representing the innocence and goodness of that time period. Mm-hmm. It was like, that was her purpose. I also think I have a pretty discerning eye when I read a script. I can tell what the purpose of my character is and how I can support the storyline. I'm not going to come in there and just like make a meal out of a scene just so I look good. It's like, well, does that really support the bigger story? So no, and we did a lot more scenes. I mean, there's tons of scenes that didn't make it into the film, like every film. You're like, oh, bummer. We had a pool party, went to the play, there was all these things. Anyways, so a lot of that stuff's not in there, but I can see why it wasn't. You kind of got what you needed to get from that character with what he put in the film. You were meant to feel a certain presence and feel a certain way about her and about the time period, and we could achieve that without a bunch of dialogue. So it didn't bother me. I kind of watched it and I was like, yeah, we got across what we wanted to get across. That's good.
Shortly after that, you played a composite character, like not a real character, but a composite of a number of different characters for Bombshell. Tell us about that experience. Why did you want to take that on? And did you tell us why you wanted to take it on.
Do you know what? It actually overlapped with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. So I would go to the Bombshell set during the day and shoot, and then I would go back to the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood set at night just to see what everyone was up to because I didn't want to miss anything. I'd finished my character's stuff. And it was just great. It was just great. Like Barry Ackroyd was at the DP on Bombshell. Bob Richardson was the DP on Once Upon a Time. Watching two DPs who have such a different approach and such a different, like aesthetic to their film, like getting to see both at the same time was just mad. Like I loved it. But yeah, that was again definitely like a handbrake turn as far as like the general feeling you have every day on set. Bombshell was the polar opposite for that character. It was obviously it was pretty sensitive subject matter and. Yeah, not easy to be in.
Well, that subject matter. So you were several years after the kind of Me Too revival.
Yeah.
Did you recognise what was going on in the Fox News set, and did you relate it to kind of your experience of the film industry?
Well, I wasn't too well versed on the whole Roger Ailes situation. I mean, of course I'd heard of it and stuff, but I wasn't quite as aware of it because it was a couple of years before the Me Too movement. But yeah, it is like doing that deep dive into what sexual harassment in a workplace can be. Mm-hmm. I remember the reason I signed on for Bombshell, I finished the script and I realized that I, as a person in like an established position in the industry, financially set up, self-sufficient, I didn't go to university, high school educated, whatever, all those things, I was like, and I don't know what sexual harassment, I didn't know the definition of sexual harassment. And that shocked me. I was like, that's terrible that I can't even say what sexual harassment in a workplace technically is. Mm-hmm. When I finished that script, it kind of horrified me how little, and just how that particular crime just plays in the grey area. That's where it really flourishes, when a situation isn't black and white. Mm-hmm. And that's when, insidious people like Roger Ailes or Harvey Weinstein or whoever, they take advantage of the grey area. Mm. And I loved getting to explore that in Bombshell with people as smart as Charles Randolph, who wrote the script, and Jay, who directed it. And it's just, it was an interesting exploration, but it was definitely something I wanted to tap out of at the end. Mm.
And do you see parallels in what happened there with your experience in the film industry?
Only to the extent of, like I said, it's that grey area and like I can see how an office dynamic like that and like the TV aspect and a powerful personality and someone in a position of power, I can see how all those things lead to the things that we read about and testimonials that we hear from survivors. You can see how that plays out in both settings, both perhaps a studio or film set and a news network.
But are you familiar? Do you feel that do you think things are moving in the film industry? I mean, do you feel that it is a different place now because of things like that and Harvey?
Definitely. I don't think it's fixed though. I think it's a big ship to turn around. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely moving in the right direction, I feel. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you talked about, it being a really brutal film to, a character to play or characters to play. Mm. Are you good at leaving that behind when you go home?
Yeah, I shook Kayla off pretty quickly. I was, the second I could stop being Kayla, I stopped being Kayla. Right. Yeah. But other characters stick around. I don't know why. Maybe I'm not letting go of them. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.